Hi.
Hi. So, you're thinking about getting therapy, but you don't know which one to get for, is that right?
Yeah.
What have you heard about therapy before?
There's lots of different types out there that can get a bit confusing to know which is best.
Right, so let's have a look at the different theories.
Yeah.
So, the first one I want to start with is the humanistic theory. Have you heard about that one before?
No.
So that's completely person-led, and that's with the belief that the person's an expert in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's really about meeting the client where they're at and getting them to set their own goals and achieve them and support them along the way.
Okay.
It's basically being like a good listening ear and a good support system rather than putting a structure in place. It's quite free flow.
What if you're the kind of person that struggles to open up, like me? It takes a while for me to get to that flow stage, if you know what I mean.
I think that's one of the benefits of following that approach is it's not timed or pressured.
All right, okay.
So you can take your time to develop the relationship, and a real good counsellor will be able to put you at ease and provide a space where you'd be able to open up without feeling like it needs to happen right now.
Okay.
I mean, that could also be a negative though, because if you're wanting help quick, it could take quite a long time to see any benefits.
Right. Like if you're not in the right headspace to talk.
Yeah, so your sessions at first could be quite quiet, which is fundamental in building a relationship if you are a bit reserved, which is absolutely fine. But there is other theories that you could follow that could get a result quicker.
Okay.
So it's really like personal preference with that. It's not necessarily a negative though to go for that theory if you are a closed off person.
Okay.
I think starting that way is building the relationship and putting the foundations down where you do feel safe enough to be able to open up. Yeah. Another one is the psychodynamic theory, which is all about the unconscious mind. So do you know much about that?
No.
So basically, our unconscious mind is something that we don't really have access to. So it requires a person who's specialised.
Oh, okay, like hypnotherapy, that one. Sorry, yeah, I've done that one, yeah.
So hypnotherapy, word association or dream interpretation.
Okay.
These are the sort of tools we can use to access the unconscious, and why we would want to do that, why we would want to get to that space initially is because that's often where we put all of our traumas and all of the things we don't want to deal with. Yeah. Our minds can naturally be like, right, this is something I want to deal with, I can manage this, but anything I can't manage, I'll push away. And it's believed that when it's pushed away and it's out of your mind, you're still carrying the trauma, but you're not having an understanding as to why. Yeah. So if you've had like a particularly challenging childhood, that therapy predominantly would zone in on that. Yeah. And dissect that and heal the mind, which is quite a good thing to do. I would say one of the negatives of that is it could be quite confronting. So
it could be like, it could get worse before it can get better.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Because you obviously have pushed them into that space for a reason. So mixing the two theories together, where we talk about taking your time, going at a slow pace, doing it when you're ready, and getting to some roots as to why could be a benefit of pushing them two things together. Because with the humanistic, it could go on and on and on and on, and you're not really getting anywhere. With the psychodynamic, you know what you're working with, you know what trauma you're dealing with, so it gives you less in focus, but it's not time pressured, it's not rushed.
Right, okay.
So like an eclectic mix of those two could be really beneficial. Yeah. the last one is CBT, which is cognitive behavioural therapy. And this is all about linking thoughts and actions together. So if we've got particular mechanisms made where our behaviour isn't serving us well, we're self-destructing by doing things, we can work backwards and think, well, why are we doing that? And we'll go back to our thought.
Sorry.
She agrees.
Yeah. Do you think Mummy should do it?
Sorry. She's so cute. Right. What you saying? Yeah, so CBT is a working backwards. We identify behaviours that don't serve us, but then we take it back as to why we're doing that. And the CBT believes that if you adjust the thought, you'll adjust the action.
Right.
So if you have a more positive, realistic thought, because often we could maybe dramatise our thoughts or jump to worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
If we have real honest clarity of thought, then our actions would be better for us.
Yeah.
So again, CBT is a really good therapy to do, but I feel like it's a big ask for people to do, to implement that many changes.
Yeah.
I feel like if you come into a therapist and you're already struggling and we are like, right, we need you to change this, we need you to change that, like it could get so overwhelming that it actually stops you from doing the homework.
Yeah.
It actually stops you from being able to adjust it.
Yeah, that's what I found with it when I've experienced it before. When you're like struggling to get through your day and thinking of like doing stuff like your own personal hygiene, feeding yourself, doing all the basics that you should do, and then you're saying do this as well, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. So I've really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I feel like I totally got what you're saying with that. If we were to mix them up though, so if you were to do the talk therapy where you can literally vent about how hard it is, like you can get all these struggles out and all, you know, everything that you found hard, if you've got a space to do that and get to a place of like accepting yourself.
Yeah.
So the goal of these therapies is to get to self-acceptance and view ourselves in a more positive light. Yeah. Another part of it is like self-actualization, and that is us becoming our best selves. So it's understanding like where we currently are, where, you know, the day might be a struggle, like where an achievement is having a shower, like recognizing that, celebrating them, but then making steps to get to what our ideal versions are, and like goals and stuff we have for the future, like stuff we want to achieve. CBT would really have its place in doing that, but it would have to work alongside other stuff. Like if we look about the things that are weighing you down the most with the looking at the unconscious mind, and then we give you the space and the time with the humanistic side of it, then CBT could work. Okay. I like really believe in the eclectic approach because I feel like it is going to give like you the best outcome. However, from my perspective, like it would be really hard to deliver that well, because to jump between the different theories would mean that I would have to know them like in and out, through and through, and know when to approach the next part. Because if you think of it, humanistic's really like flowy with the client, completely client led. And then if I come along and I'm like, right, now's a really good time to make a plan or think about the next steps, like I could read that wrong, and I could get that wrong, which could undo some of the work that would put in.
Would you think that, because obviously people have different traumas in life, would it be a case of, if it's this trauma that you've come across, would it be a case of this therapy would work best with that, and this one definitely wouldn't work with that part of trauma.
Yeah, I feel like, so when we talk about like addictions, like substance abuse, things like that, like negative patterns of that nature, CBT would be great. But when we're talking about like abuse in childhood, that would be like working on your unconscious mind, because we need to deal with the trauma, not necessarily just behaviour. Even though traumas could cause negative behaviours, we wouldn't have to change the process, we'd just have to do the healing, and then that would automatically adjust. So it's definitely, that's a good point actually, it's being able to identify what's in front of you and then treat it for that. So I do believe that that is the best approach, is the mix, but I think it's the hardest to give. So what are you thinking about what I've said? Would you want to do therapy?
I like the idea of like a mixture of all, but I get that would be really, really hard for the person giving it to do it, but definitely not CBT. Definitely not. I don't think me as a person, writing everything down, and it's not for me. I don't like that. I like the idea of the unconscious one, not unconscious, that subconscious one, that one, yeah. That one sounds like it might be a bit more, because I feel like I've got a lot of trauma just blocked out and hidden away that I have just pushed down to get through life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And obviously, like, traumas can be like really overwhelming.
Yeah. So
if you went with the approach of like not feeling time pressured, and like had somebody to talk everything through with, that could be a good mix. But you definitely, can I just ask this just out of curiosity? So you got a really good therapist, and you really trusted them, and you'd spent a long time on the relationship, and it got to a really safe space. If they were then to suggest CBT, would that switch you off? Would that put your guard up, or would you think, do you know what, they've been right so far?
I don't know. It'd have to be a really, really good relationship for me to give it a go.
If say you did give it a go, and it didn't work, would that then put you off going back, or would you feel comfortable enough to say to them, you know what, I've tried that, and I don't want to do that? Like,
I definitely say that. Yeah,
so
I would
wouldn't
say
it
that.
make you walk away?
No, I wouldn't. No.
Because I think like a real thing for me is like not wanting to get it wrong, or like I say, like undo work.
Yeah.
So you would feel comfortable if the person was really good, you had a good vibe.
Yeah. I'd feel like if they've got taken the time to get to know me fully, then they would know from their professional point of view what would be best. So
you trust them.
I'd trust them, yeah. But then if it was not right, if it didn't work, then I'd be like, oh well, there we go. Yeah. If it doesn't work for me,